Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Oleksandr Syrsky, held a monthly meeting on the use and development of unmanned systems with the participation of commanders of combat units. The Commander-in-Chief reported that in May, the Defense Forces destroyed about 90,000 hostile targets with the help of drones. Syrsky reported this on Telegram. The systematic work on scaling up the units of unmanned systems is yielding real results. Thus, in May, more than 89,000 hostile targets were hit and destroyed using drones of different types, he noted. Syrsky heard an intelligence report on the formation of unmanned systems in the Russian army and the arrival of new models of UAVs and ground robotic systems into service with the occupiers. The Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, in particular, noted that the enemy is copying the experience of the Defense Forces of Ukraine and is actively scaling up its unmanned units. Therefore, it is necessary to maintain the pace of development and constantly increase capabilities in order to be one step ahead. We continue to increase the number of crews of unmanned systems and develop our unmanned units. Each drone is a destroyed enemy, which means the life of a Ukrainian serviceman is saved. The meeting also considered the development of unmanned ground systems. They perform logistical functions on the battlefield, evacuate wounded soldiers, lay mines, and also act as combat modules. Compared to 2024, we have increased the supply of such systems to military units several times and increased the training of BPNK specialists. I thank all the units of unmanned systems and each warrior separately for their professional combat work and destruction of enemies. You are on the technological front line of our fight. It is the development of technologies that is key to the sustainability of the Defense Forces and the advantage over the enemy, the Commander-in-Chief concluded. Let us recall that the main intelligence directorate presented for the first time the newest sea drones, which have already destroyed 2 Russian combat aircraft. This was done with the help of missiles by modernized models of drones which, in addition to explosives, also carry warheads. German Chancellor Friedrich Merz said Germany, Britain, France and the United States have given Ukraine permission to use Western weapons to attack military targets anywhere in Russia. This officially lifts a long-standing taboo on strikes outside the Ukrainian territory, Forbes reports. At the same time, experts warn that Kyiv has probably already exhausted a significant portion of its long-range missile stocks received in 2023 to 2024. The question of further deliveries remains open. Among the key long-range systems in service with the Ukrainian Armed Forces are the French-British Scalp EG/Storm Shadow cruise missiles, as well as the American ATACMS, which are launched from HIMARS and M270 launchers. In the fall of 2024, these missiles were already used against targets in Russia, despite nuclear threats from the Kremlin. The Russian air defense system is helpless. Formerly, Western allies had only authorized such strikes against targets that posed an immediate threat to Ukraine. The new decision lifts those restrictions. However, as military analysts note, the inventory question remains open. It is estimated that by last fall, Ukraine had received fewer than 50 ATACMS missiles and had already expended some of them in a series of strikes. As for Scalp/Storm Shadow, Ukraine has likely received several hundred units, including 40 missiles from France in January. Production of such missiles is limited. France and the UK, together with Italy, once purchased 1,600 of these munitions, and some of them are either used or require repair. Current capacity allows for the production of only 50 to 100 Scalp missiles per year, although France has invested €2 billion to expand production. Particularly acute is the issue of Germany's KEPD 350 Taurus cruise missiles, a powerful weapon with a range of more than 310 miles and the ability to penetrate hardened targets. Former Chancellor Olaf Scholz refused to hand them over to Ukraine, but Merz has previously supported the idea. Since taking office, he has refrained from taking a clear position. Merz has now also said that Berlin will no longer publicly disclose weapons transfers to Kiev, which could mean that the Taurus transfer is ongoing or has already begun. This is a sign that Germany can change its supply policy without undue political pressure, defense sources said. Germany has about 600 Taurus missiles in stock, although some of them need to be updated. Their potential use together with Scalp/Storm Shadow could allow the Ukrainian armed forces to strike at depths of up to 650 kilometers, even at military targets around Moscow. However, the practical range will depend on launch conditions, in particular the altitude of the flight, to avoid Russian air defenses. The Ukrainian military could gain a strategic advantage by attacking Russian bomber bases, missile launchers and drone depots while still inside Russia. Such tactics fall under the principle of aim at the archer, not the arrow. But the deciding factor will remain the amount of ammunition available and new supplies. Unless Ukraine has a sufficient stockpile of missiles or receives a significant number of new ones, authorization to strike Russia will have only limited effect. In this context, the possibility of purchasing American JASSM missiles for Ukraine, cruise munitions compatible with the F-16, is also being discussed. This could significantly expand the missile capabilities of the Ukrainian armed forces after the arrival of the American fighters. More than 2 years after the start of a full-scale war, the West lifted one of the main restrictions, the ban on strikes on Russian territory with Western weapons.